Exactly 2 minutes past the hour of 8. This is Thursday, the 24th of April 2025. Paul Ochonogo is my name. This is Inside Edo State, live on your One Family, One radio station, 88.1 Super FM. The Honorable is live this lovely Thursday evening ahead of news and current affairs. Israel Adebi is also live with us, and we've also got Mr. Adeyinka Adedigbe of the Punch newspaper also with us this lovely evening. I've got a very, very special guest joining us this evening. Yes, he's from the Senate, but I'll let the Honorable do the honors. Honorable, good evening. Good to have you.
Yeah, good evening, Paul Ochonogo. Thank you so much. And of course, let me send my shout out to the listener out there. I know you're seated out there. You know, it's something we do every Thursday from the hour of 8 to 9 p.m. inside Edo State, where we look at developments, we look at issues, and why not? We also bring personalities, top personalities from Edo State, and we speak to issues. Yes, issues that have impacts on development in Edo State. Again, my name is Benga James, called the Honorable, and I have my usual suspects with me in the studio this evening. Israel Adebi is here. Israel, good evening.
Well, good evening, Honorable, and good evening, Benin City.
Yinka Adedigbe of the Punch newspapers, as usual, is here as well. Yinka, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Benga, and good evening, Edo State.
And in case you're just asking, where is Aliu? Yes, Aliu of the Vanguard newspapers, he said he might be running a bit late, and he might join us any moment from now. But again, we have a special guest in the house. Yes, he's a special guest with us. He's from the Senate. It's Senator Neda Imasuen, Barrister Neda Imasuen, distinguished senator from the Nigeria Senate, Abuja. He represents the Edo South Senatorial District in the Senate. And we are most grateful for making yourself available for the time to be with us in the studio this evening. Distinguished Senator, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so very much for having me today.
All right. And we'll dive straight, we say, inside Edo State. And your own senatorial district is inside Edo State, Edo South. In about 2 months from now, thereabout, it's going to be 2 years that you've been in the red chambers as distinguished senator. And I remember in the early days, you told us here that you were there at the behest of your people, and you will be serving your people. And you spoke, you buy a lot of plans for your constituents and all of that. So 2 years down now, let's try to recall some of those things that you've done for the pleasure of the people of your senatorial district in this 2-year journey so far.
Well, thank you, listeners, and my friends here seated with me. Again, I say good evening and thanks for the opportunity to speak to you today. Again, I'm Senator Neda Imasuen, Senate Chairman, Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition. And by the grace of God, elected under the Labour Party for the Senate. And I'm glad that I'm here. And it's been 2 years or thereabout since our election. And of course, I have been doing a few things, considering the circumstances. But in the last week and a half, myself and my team have taken the initiative of going around the 7 local governments to speak with them in the a town hall format, to have one-on-one with my constituents so that they can hear me and I can hear them as well. And so we can rub minds and see where we can join issues and see where we go from there. In that opportunity, we're able to, to tell the people what we have done. May I also express some of them here? Yes, it's been 2 years, but of the 2 years, I always like to remind everyone that 9 months of it was the 9 months of being in court to secure and to defend the mandate. And so it was a period that was quite unsettling. But again, I thank God and you, the people, for giving us, standing by me to make sure that the mandate is secured. And yes, it is secured. I'll break down my what I've achieved in in few sectors, and I would take that of health, for instance. In the health sector, we have been able to organize a lot of medical outreaches where we met with our constituents, especially those in the Pubaka. That's where we started. And at the Dobo Town Hall, where we met to the constituents, and all issues that they had, we were able to attend to them, whether it's BP, whether it's blood sugar, those who needed glasses, and all other issues we attended to. Glasses were given to them, and they were also giving contacts of those that they can reach out to in case of emergencies. In education, we've been able to help a lot of indigents here in the south, the Central District. For instance, we have been able to help those who wanted to get into the JAM, have to take the JAM exam, but they didn't have money to do them. And so to date, we have been able to sponsor minimum 500 of them to be able
That's
to
to get them registered for JAM exam.
get them registered for JAM exams. Also, we have been able to intervene in some critical areas. For instance, I have 5 students at the University of Benin that are on full scholarship. But the one that I take very seriously, or that is closest to my heart, is a young girl, the age of 12, that passed Federal Government Girls College, common entrance from an area in the rural area called Ogbese, in Ovia, Northeast, I believe. And my aides brought it to my attention because her teacher in that school, who knew that the girl was very brilliant and had passed that exam, but couldn't go to school halfway through the first semester because she didn't have the finances to do so. So it was brought to my attention, and I flew in from Abuja to Federal Government Girls College in Benin, Ubo in Benin, with the child and the teacher, to meet with the principal and to appeal to them to allow her to start school. But they said the challenge was school fees and all that. Not just school fees, but she needs to buy all sort of things, mattresses, buckets, all those things that students will need to take to school. And so we took it upon ourselves to ensure that she was provided with all of these things. And she started school with a promise to the principal that she would be able to catch up. And because she was such a brilliant girl, she caught up, and she was able to finish the first year, and so she's now onto the second year. So it's a continuing thing that we are taking her up to make sure that we pay her school fees, and all we have to do to support her education. So that's just, again, I said that's close to my heart because of how young the girl is and the opportunity she would have missed had we not intervened to support her. In the area of construction, our budgets are not very high, but I've been able to embark on the 3.5-kilometer road in Ovia again, Ovia Northeast. It's Asoge Street, where we're constructing that road with drainages on both sides and having solar street lights also on both sides, on the side of the road. That project is expensive, so I've broken that into 2 stages. Okay. The first stage we've done, and so we're about to embark on the second stage now. Hopefully this will conclude and complete the project. And we also have one in Rogin, I believe, somewhere in Ovia, around Abudu or thereabout, which is 2.1-kilometer road that is also been embarked upon. Now, in the area of solar lights is something that I thought we should attend to because I realized that most of our rural areas have been in darkness. And many of them attested that they have not even seen light since they were born. I'm talking of men and women in their 70s. And so we intervened in this area, where in Urio, for instance, where some targeted areas we faced and provided solar lights in those areas. I'm trying to remember this area here. I'll remember that.
Okay.
Where we provided light for the east of it, the west of it. I'm talking of Igbanke.
Okay, back.
Igbanke East and Igbanke West, where we provided solar lights to them. And what we get, the feedback we got, was that they have not actually had light since the creation of those villages. And so they were very happy.
So they are seeing light for the
They've
first time.
seen light for the first time. They are very happy and appreciative of it. In other areas, too, even in Benin City here, Agedo Street here off Ihagbe, in a Tete area there, we've been able to provide lights, solar lights. Even in my area in Amagba, we've been able to provide solar lights as well. And so many other places that we have intervened in providing solar lights. I'll begin to recollect as we proceed.
Also progress, okay.
But I'll tell you something, though, that it's not been easy. Because the expectations for people is not easy at all. We've always done a lot of interfacing when it comes to empowerment.
Okay.
The first empowerment we did was done at the University of Benin football field, where we provided sewing machines, industrial sewing machines, where we provided refrigerators, where we provided grinding machines and other things for them. It was a huge success, and a lot of people, at least we were able to empower close to 100 of them on that same day that we empowered them at the University of Benin football field. We've also been able to, like today, today, I've had 2 programs at the NUJ hall, where we provided farmers with training. And I believe that when we're able to empower people to farm, to be able to feed themselves, at least we would have been able to remove poverty from their homes. And so to empower them, we brought trainers to train them, and at the end of the day, we empowered them. And we also gave them implements, farm implements, insecticides, and the rest to help them farm. I have also been able to address the issue of traditional birth attendants. I had to come in here because I realized that also in the rural areas, we don't have doctors, we don't have nurses, and so they are on their own. But you should also imagine that every day somebody gives birth in these areas. And so you begin to ask yourself, who does this for them when there are no doctors and no nurses? And so you come to realize that there are traditional birth attendants in these areas. And these are grandmothers and mothers who got these skills passed down from their own parents, and they're doing a good job at it. But something seems to be lacking. Sometimes you hear about sudden death of a child and so on, or of the mother itself.
Yes.
And you wouldn't know what it is. But you begin to find out that if you investigate, you realize that they don't have enough knowledge on sanitation. And so when these children are born, infection sets in, and it becomes very dangerous for both the mother and the child. And so we're able to set up a 3-day training in collaboration with the State Ministry of Health, where the commissioner was very gracious to be with us, with the doctors and nurses, to teach them on these traditional birth attendants. It was very successful, and I'm also glad that people enjoyed it. And I have also promised myself that I'll continue doing this, because training and retraining and expanding the scope is something I think that we should do. Last week, or about a week and a half ago, we also did something about shoemaking, where we brought
That's vocational
experts,
skills?
vocational skills, to teach them how to make shoes and slippers and all that. So a 2-day training, after which we also provided them with the materials and started up funds for them to start their business. And I'm very happy to hear that thereafter, as I went about going for these town hall meetings, that few of them stood up to acknowledge that they were in that program. And they have actually started their businesses in making shoes and slippers. And so that was so gratifying to me, which is the purpose after all. And so if we're able to say one or two, I think we would have done well. Yes. So for now, let me collect myself and remember all the things.
All right, Senator Neda Imasuen, thank you very much. That was quite comprehensive. They're going through a number of interventions and constituency projects that you have done this past, over 1 year to 2 years. Well, in case you're just joining us at home, it's Inside Edo State. And it's a bit different today because we have a guest with us in the house, and he's the distinguished senator that represents Edo South in the Nigerian Senate in Abuja, Senator Barrister Neda Imasuen. Now, in all of these and all these interventions that you have done, now I also like to find out about how robust your interface and interaction has been with your constituents. Like you mentioned that in the last 1 week or thereabout, there has been town hall meeting and all that. How often do you have this interaction with? Because I remember that in the early days, while we had you on one of our programs here in the studio, you told us that you are not one of those people that their constituents will not see around. You said so. And I want to believe that you've kept to that, but I would like you to speak to that.
Well, thank you so very much. I think the mistake I made from the onset was not actually appearing on televisions and news and newspapers and all that. I was just doing my thing because I thought one-on-one with my constituents was sufficient. But I came to realize pretty quickly that if I do something in Nubawa, somebody in Uselu will not even know. And so Uselu began to cry and said, I've done nothing. And so I'm trying to change that narrative to make sure that I'm in the face of everybody. I wasn't running at all, but I was just, like I said, trying to do a few of these things. Again, not to mention that during festivities, what we did, I have distributed over 2,000 bags of fertilizers to farmers in these short 2 years. And not to talk about the rice that we distribute to all the 7 local governments for people to benefit in Christmas and New Year's. So in this wise, I attend church programs. Almost everywhere I'm invited to, I try to make myself available, again, as a way of meeting my constituents. But I think I have to change the method to make sure that I'm seeing even more without even not just seeing them in these small groups, but to do so in larger settings. I did a Gen Z with something I'm remembering for the young girl child. It's something that was very dear to my heart, and it's still very dear to my heart, and it's something that I will also replicate in the coming year. And this is something that I thought of because I thought that our girls are vulnerable to all sort of issues growing up, to redirect their minds so that they can focus on their schools, and to also give them this boost to know that there's something they cannot achieve if they set their minds to it. So we had a program at the Victor Waifo Hub where over 10, 11 girls' schools across the 7 local governments converged, and we had professionals, medical doctors, all women, to be able to speak with them one-on-one as women, woman to woman, for them to understand themselves. It was quite successful, and at the end of that, many schools went about setting up their clubs, Gen Z clubs. Some have the the club for journalists and all those sort of things.
That's press clubs.
Yeah, press clubs, and I'm supporting it. So it's that again for me. It's something that I'm able to do to touch and reach the lives of the young ones as they grow. So have I been meeting up with my constituents? Yes, but the methodology may have not been well received, but that is changing.
All right, now Inka.
Yeah, Honorable Senator, you talked about some of these things you've done for your constituency, and I think they are quite commendable. But when you look at the economic situation we find ourselves in this country, you find out that people are more particular about money. Which senator give me? So sometimes the people you give these trainings to, the starter pack you give to them, they sell them out, get some money, and in 2 days it's gone. So how do you handle situations like this where members of a constituency sometimes are particular about just getting financial support that may not that may not help them, considering the programs you do, what they gain from the programs you do. How do you manage this?
Well, thank you for that question. It's quite difficult, but you still have to do what you have to do. Like I told you in one of my town hall meetings, where few ladies got up and said they were beneficiaries of the training they got in making shoes and bags, and so they started their businesses in that wise. Oh, that gratified my mind. They were not the only one that attended the programs, and I want to think that majority of them have actually taken those trainings seriously, and therefore had started their own businesses. But you cannot rule out those other factors you just mentioned, because it's a human factor. A lot of people want to be dependent. I don't know why. And so you give them the tools to be independent, and they choose to be dependent. There's not much one can do about that, but that's the reason why before we do these things, we bring in professionals to teach them, to speak to their psyche, to let them understand that they need to take this seriously so that they can be able to help themselves, even as a family. So we'll begin to do the best we can. We cannot say because of that, therefore, we're going to shut down. So we're still going to reach out and make sure that the mindset continues to change, hopefully.
Israel.
Well, it's a special opportunity for me because this conversation is something I've been looking forward to, in that you were here during the course of the campaign. And having the opportunity to have those who listened to you back then hear from you directly, give account of your stewardship is something to be commended. Having said that, some will say how much effect have you been when it comes to legislative activities in the Senate. I recall you keep emphasizing in the course of the campaign back then that you are running to be a lawmaker and not a governor. Because the emphasis was, oh, what will you give to me? What will you do? Will you tie my road? And you say, no. I'm running to be a lawmaker. You formulate policies and things like that will enable some of those things they are looking forward to. So, have people been able to get the message loud and clear that yes, you're a lawmaker, your job is to make laws and not necessarily deliver on some of these things that they look forward to. And it's commendable, by the way, that you have even gone out of your way to even do some of those things that they're looking at. How has your activities in the Senate been?
Again, thank you. This is a dilemma, and this is the contradiction in what we do as parliamentarians. Unfortunately, our constituents ask the question, whether we've done for me lately. They don't look at the long-term effect of what you do. And so they judge you by how many bags of rice and gari you give to them. They judge you by how many, the money you're able to put in their pockets. And when you cease to do that, then you would have been the worst parliamentarian in the history of mankind. And so they tend not to understand the functions of a legislator. But let me use the opportunity to emphasize that We have three main functions. One of them is to make laws. The other is the oversight. The third is just to help to attract project development to your constituents. And these three are very important. But the first two is not even considered at all. And so no one have actually challenged me and says, as a parliamentarian, have I been able to have a bill move on the floor? Have I had any motions on the floor? And all those sort of things.
And the oversight responsibilities.
No, they don't. As a matter of fact, even we were supposed to be out because of the holidays, but myself and my colleagues were all over the place oversighting as well. I just have an invitation now with JAM that I've been nominated to be one of those to go around the country to look at this CBB, or they call it, where they write it down. CBT. So that because we'll be having issues on it, to see the adequacy of it and how good it is, and so on. So that's going to take me around the country. Nobody asks me about that. That is not important to them, but that is part of my functions that I do. But speaking to what you just said, I have two bills that have gone through the first reading. I have one that I'm proposing federal government teachers college here in Abudu.
Federal Teachers College.
Yes, in Abudu. And the reason why I'm looking at that is because if you go to that axis of Orion, one of the biggest local governments, it doesn't have any federal government presence of any sort. And if you go to Abudu, you'll be surprised that there are no banks. No banks at all. So people leave Abuja to go to Agbo to transact
for their banking
transactions. And the reason why I believe that is the case is because nothing's attracting the banks to go there. But if we have a federal institution that is viable and vibrant, I'm very sure that the banks will come closer because they have reason to be there. My function as the chairman of the Standing Committee on Ethics and Privileges is something, again, that people don't know. I sit over petitions that come from all over the country. You may not know how strenuous and difficult that is. But I take cases from all ranges from somebody sacked from work, and the person believed that it was unfair to him or her. It goes to students in school who have been rusticated by the authority, and they believe that it was not fair to them, and so they want to go back to school. It deals with the military, all sector, even my colleagues, that have issues.
That was once celebrated. I mean, recently, now that we are on this matter, which has to do with how challenged would you say you were then? I mean, the issue of Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, which at a point gained global repute. I mean, it was everywhere, and with some persons thinking that maybe that wasn't well handled, and all of that. How challenged were you personally? Because I must let you know, I mean, we saw you on TV, your name was copiously called and all that.
Well, I think I don't really want to comment on this because I'm sure you are aware that the subject is...
Okay, it's all right.
Actually, there's an order of the court which says that everybody should cease and desist on commenting on this issue. So for that reason, may I let it pass?
Okay, it's all right, sir. It's okay. But now that office, like you said, I mean, tons of petitions from across the country and all that. And I know that in one of the conversations I had with you, you also spoke about ethics, the importance of ethics. I don't know if there is anything you have or you're planning to do to also promote the subject of ethics. I know we had a conversation over it here in Edo State. Now that you're privileged to be the chairman of that commission, and you've seen of that committee, and you've seen how important it could be, for an ethically egalitarian society.
It's very important. For me, I sit every day. I sit Monday through Tuesday. It's only on Friday that we try not to sit. And once we finish on the Parliament, from the floor or the Senate, by 2:30, whether I'm done or not done, but I have to leave to go to my hearing room. I have a dedicated hearing room, like a courtroom, where before you get there, the room is filled up with petitioners. They come from all over the country. And so they come with all sorts of petitions, and you have to listen to them and give your rulings. If you have to tell an agency, take this person back, you insist that you take the person back. If it's a bad case, then you let the person know that no, on this case, you are not on the right. So it's difficult, and it's very tasking. I sit sometimes until about 8 p.m. in the evening. It's not just like any other committee.
So it's not exactly a tea party. For those who think that people are just...
It isn't at all. And when you sit, you write a report. It's not just sit and you go. You have time to write a report, which you take back to the floor, read as a motion to the floor, because if the Senate sent you to go and investigate and bring back the report. So I go investigate, bring back the report in writing, I present my motion to the whole floor, and it's debated again. And if it's not far-reaching or too far-reaching, and then the whole Senate weigh in on it, and then they take a vote and say, okay, it's passed. So I do that every day. And so it's not a tea party, it's not easy at all. But I'm glad that I have the opportunity to do so, because it's also an opportunity to serve the people. It's a setting that does not require a lawyer to come. If you bring a lawyer, that is fine. But you don't have to pay a lawyer to be there. You don't have to pay legal fees to be there. You don't have to pay filing fees to be there. It's free as anything. And so you get justice at the end of the day. So it's gratifying, no matter how tedious it is, but it's gratifying.
Yinka.
Okay, the program is inside Edo State, and I would like to ask you, what kind of petitions have you received from this state, and how have you been able to solve them, using your office?
All manners of petitions have come, even from Edo State.
Can you share one or two of the challenging ones, and
Well,
how you're able to navigate?
Well, one from a student who also thought, from West of Benin, who also thought that they were not something, that they were not fairly treated in what they accused them of doing. But thank God, before I could even, it's phone call, and those things were resolved. That comes to mind very quickly. But I also I've had some petitions of this headers clash thing that is coming up, that is still before me, and I know that when we go back, we'll be able to address some of those things again. So I remember this too very, very quickly. But there are other petitions that also came from Edo State. Some has to do with land issue, which we are still sitting on, but not much, apart from a few ones. Not much have actually come, but if my memory serves me right, yes, these are the ones I can remember now.
Okay. Barrister, before we go to the phone lines, two quick questions for me. The first will be, looking at Edo State in itself, you are in opposition, if I'll look at it that way, Labour Party serving the state in the National Assembly. What's the level of synergy you have with this present administration? Has there been a level of collaboration to facilitate some development into the state?
Yes, in the Senate, at some point, the lines are blurred. It is not such a hard rule of your PDP, APC, or Labour, or other parties. So if I have a bill, if I have a motion, like anything else, you lobby your colleagues. So I go to my colleagues and say, look, I have this bill, I need to support it, and I try to convince the person why I need the support. If it's emotion, the same thing. And so they look at it and they offer their support, and the same way they also lobby you to support their own programs and they sign it. So it's not that tasking, if you ask me, but just like anything else, everybody has an interest in anything that they do, and so sometimes it becomes a matter of regional interest, and so that tend to sometimes create this line and that line. But we also always find a way to come together and address the issue objectively.
Okay. And then lastly, you mentioned Elders Clash as one of the petitions you've received. People of Orion have complained repeatedly. People in Ovia Northeast have complained repeatedly. So it's something we've discussed extensively on this platform, but I would love you to speak to it. What can we do about it?
The Ovia Clash, when it came up, and I remember very well that I actually saw it on television, and the very next day I went to the floor to raise a motion on it and to call the federal government's presence in those areas. And one of the things that was agreed upon was to have a permanent army post in those areas so that it can become a buffer between warring communities. But again, these things takes certain procedures. For instance, a motion is made, it's made on the floor, it's carried, and so it goes, it doesn't, the executive is supposed to execute it, remember that. But it goes through other processes within the Senate itself. There's what they call the Legislative Compliance Committee that ensures that these things are complied with. And so that team is also full. And so the chairman of that committee and the members are busy working as well to make sure that these things are pushed out exactly to the necessary agencies or departments to make sure that they attend to them. And so from time to time go back to it again to ensure have they done what they're supposed to do and so on and so forth. So it takes a procedure, it takes a little time, but at the end of the day it is done.
Okay.
All right, and I think just before we go to the phone lines, we'll have the senator with us here today. We don't have him every day, and I'll ask him this question. I don't know whether you like it or not. I mean, there is the gale of defections across the country. We know it comes within the political territory. It comes within with the territory. There's no doubt about that. And if there are grounds acknowledged by the law that if there are sufficient grounds in this direction, you can defect from party A to party B. But we've seen movement in a particular direction, and Delta State was a massive one yesterday. Now, you are of Labour Party. Are there chances now of you defecting?
Chances of me defecting?
From Labour Party, maybe to the ruling party.
Why do you think the ruling party?
Oh, well, or to any other party for that matter. That's been the fad. That's been the fad.
At the state level.
That's been the fad. And I know that listeners will not forgive us if we let you out of here today. I would pose this question.
Okay, I have a simple answer to that. If and when that will happen, I will let you know.
All right, so that's fair enough. I think, guys.
I think that's the possibility.
It's okay, but I think...
Would that be exclusive?
All right, let's go to the phone lines and allow the constituents to also speak with their senator.
Okay, so be a part of the show this evening. This is Inside Edo State, live on your own family, one radio, 88.1 Super FM. We'll have a lawmaker with us this lovely evening. Barrister Neda Imasuen is the senator representing Edo South Senatorial District, live with us this evening on Inside Edo State. So put together your questions. You have to do that in 1 minute, and so others can also pose their questions to the lawmaker live with us this evening. 0705 512 9881 or 0705 5727 881 0705 512 9881 or 0705 5727 881 0902 672 2592 0902 080-672-2592. That also doubles as our WhatsApp number. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening to you. Welcome. Your name, please?
I'm Emmanuel. I'm calling from Ndugbo.
All right, Emmanuel, talk to us this evening.
Honorable Senator, good evening.
Good evening.
Senator, you know quite all right. It is the grassroots that put all their momentum together to make sure that even when your party was not known, they make it possible, they vote for you, they defend their vote, and make sure that you got it and you really got it. But why do that? We have not seen that you have some of your own movement where you will call the grassroots together, address them, not you appreciating them by giving them money, but encouraging them that democracy will work in Edo and Nigeria at large. We are not seeing that movement. And for you to be a good politician or to win constituency level, that movement of your ground, we will know you more better so that we can say, okay, this is our own and this is our own. We are not seeing that feel in you. We are not seeing that transparency, that closeness.
All right.
It's like you are far. Thank you.
All right, thank you for joining us. That question has been noted already. Hello.
Good evening, my brother.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
I want to greet the distinguished senator. My brother, I voted for you without even knowing you. It was the grace of Obi that covered yourself and others we voted for in Edo State. We are fed up with these elementary issues we discussed on radio, hotel groups. I installed this. First, I want to appreciate what we have done. I happen to have studied the American democracy, how it came to be the greatest. We have not started in Nigeria. Number one, a Democrat never runs away in times of challenges, always ready to lay down his life when it becomes necessary. That we have not seen in our senators. Two, why is it that you people cannot come up with a law that encourages individuals and groups with what amazing ideas, apart from giving money to our universities, other institutions to run? I'm saying this because I have been a private international researcher for more than 40 years. You may not believe my brother. I'm going to give you an invitation. So see how one individual not getting support from anybody stood his ground, because an American once told me, if you love your fatherland, you are ready to make all the necessary sacrifice to make your country great. How are you people doing it? And I want you to also key into what I have been doing. This is radio. Support from you. I want Benga to be my witness. I'm not asking you to give me money to go and buy a replay or buy a speaker. No.
Mr. USA.
All right, Mr. USA. All right.
So I want to come and see you in your office. Do you understand? Good evening, my brother, and God bless.
All right, thank you for joining us. Hello, good evening. Good evening. Good evening, please, Mr. Ajala. You have to call us back, please. You have to return the call. We're struggling to hear you. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
This is Congress speaking.
Okay, please do us a favor. Try and be audible. Just do us a favor. Okay.
I need to thank the Honorable for coming for this program, and I thank the crew members of Super 881 FM for bringing us this program. I want to ask the senator, like the 2,000 and something of fertilizer he said they bring. How do he think that that fertilizer will go out to the appropriate area? Because he is at Abuja. But here in Benin, how do we think that one will go out among all the farmers in the country in Edo State?
All right.
Okay, maybe.
All right. Thank you.
Let him respond.
Senator quickly.
Thank you. Let me start with the last speaker. First of all, I'm the senator for Edo South Senatorial District, not for Edo State. Each of the three senatorial districts serve their own senators. The fertilizers I spoke about, I think the station covered it when I did the distribution. It was done in the open. It was not done in a closet. Not only that, I also did it through the Farmers Association. The Farmers Association were represented there, and through them we were able to distribute these fertilizers to the farmers. That's the best I can do, unless you're telling me to start distributing them to individual farms across Edo South, which is impossible for me to do. To the other speaker who spoke about the American something, but I understand what you're saying. I also attended the Long Island University in New York City, so I have an American educational background. I actually live there. This is the reason why many of us supported wholeheartedly the student loan bill that came up, and we fought ferociously to pass that bill, which has made it possible for students to get student loans at a very low interest rate and with time for them to pay after graduation. And so it's something we also borrow from the American system, and I think it's working, and it will work. The Nigerian setting is difficult. You may not understand. Let me use the local parlance, which says that to not go,
No, no.
Thank you.
All right, so back to the phone lines. Hello.
Good evening, Paul.
Yeah, good evening. Better now. Glad to have you, Mr. Ajala. Talk to us.
Honorable, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Ejala.
The Honorable Neda Imasuen, good evening.
Good evening.
I listened to your submission since I listened to your speech. Senator, you said Abudu. No bugs in Abudu. I was shocked. You could not tell the house that Abudu has not lasted more than 7 years. And Abudu is 5 minutes to 5 to 7 minutes to Agbo. Everybody is senator of those house. Abudu has not lasted more than 7 years. Not only that, most of the projects you have realized you have done since. You cannot set your ground. You cannot construct road. And not because you cannot construct road. You guys stop telling us that you construct road. You facilitate the road. When you say you construct road, and come on, people will think you are the one constructing the road. And senator cannot construct road. You are educating people, senator. The idea you keep on telling us that you are constructing 3.1 kilometer road, 2 kilometers. You are not the one. You are the facilitating the road. So that we know the work of executive and the work of the legislator. Good evening to my family.
All right, thank you very much.
I need to respond. I need to respond to this immediately. Unfortunately, permit me to use the word that some of us are so ignorant in the way we challenge our lawmakers. I'm not the governor of the state. If Abudu have not had light for decades, for these years we've talked about, I wonder how many times we've gone to Government House to make that complaint. I'm not a senator. No senator is actually to provide light or to provide roads. This is work that ought to be done by the executive. And so we tend to misplace priorities and our criticisms, and we don't focus it on where it ought to be. And everything is senator. It shouldn't be so. We have a governor, we have State House of Assembly, we have a local government chairman, we have all levels of government. I don't think senator is not the closest to you, and senator does not really have the budget to do what you're talking about. Now, I said, yes, 3.5 kilometer road I am constructing. I repeat it, it's in my budget. The only thing you don't see me do is wear khaki with holes in my hands to actually dig the road. That money was put there on my budget to do it. I brought it there. It didn't fall from the sky. You must understand that. So when I say it's my project, yes, I'll repeat it. If I don't sit down and put on the line by line item, on a budget, S Road, I want it constructed. This is the amount of money. It's in my budget. I put it there, and I tracked it there. So if you see FEMA do it, it's because I domicile that project in FEMA. I could put it in any ministry to do it. It is not the ministry that put it in the budget. I did. So let me correct you if you don't understand, sir.
All right. Okay,
Right.
back to it.
Maybe just one or two more calls.
Okay, hello.
We'll call it a wrap.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening to you. Welcome. Talk to us.
Senator, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, my name is Paul Bahi.
All right, talk to us.
I just have one question, sir. So what is your relationship with the Senate President, Senator Kosha Party? Thank you, sir.
He's my Senate president, and that's the relationship.
All right. So personally, I've got this question for you with the insecurity, especially across the country, and this made the news yesterday, particularly you backing state police in the country. So with you backing state police, how would that help in fighting insecurity around those South senatorial district?
Well, if every state has its own police force, it means that it's able to police its borders. The situation where police are assigned to Edo State, especially police who do not even know who don't know the nooks and crannies, the terrain of Edo State, I don't see how they can effectively fight crimes in Edo State. So if Edo State has its own command, under the leadership or the command of the governor, who gives command, and if there is any skirmishes anywhere, he dispatches very quickly police to go there, rather than wait for command to come from Abuja. And sometimes it's a conflicting command, or they bring people who don't even know the terrain. And so we need police. And not only that, every state has its own priorities. There are states who don't need those priorities, but they still have the number of police that Edo State has. But if a state is bedeviled with criminality, then it's going to put more resources in fighting those criminalities. Police force is under the federal government, not under the state government. And so there's always this conflict as to who finances the police force within the borders of a state. It should not be so. Let state has its own police, and let the people complain directly to their governor. And if a police commissioner of a state appointed by the governor does not do well, he should be fired without looking back and replaced, and have someone do the work and do it better. And so we don't want this bureaucracy of lines of chains of command, and where nothing is done. So I believe fervently that we should have state police.
All right. Thank you very much, Senator, for joining us this evening. It has been a great time doing this with you, and we hope to do this with you before this year runs out one more time on this particular platform. So, ladies and gentlemen, it has been Inside Edo State, a very, very great edition at that. And just in case you're joining, we just had the Senator, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, and the senator representing Edo South Senatorial District, Senator Barrister Neda Imasuen. Thank you for joining us this evening. Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, and also many thanks to the Honorable for doing this with me this evening, and also to Head of News and Current Affairs, Israel Adebi, and to Adeyinka Adedikbe of the Punch newspaper for news with me this evening. Thank you guys for doing this. We're back again next week, Thursday, 8 to 9 p.m. on your 151 Radio, 88.1 Super FM. Paul Ochologo is my name. Good evening.
There are only two types of people in this world. Those who love Super FM